The new MacBook Pro, USB 3 comes to Mac laptops. New Mountain Lion features unveiled. iOS 6 coming this fall. It's Tuesday, June 12th, 2012 and Wednesday, June 13th. This is iWake. I'm Siri filling in for Tim and this is what's going on in the Apple world today. Good morning and welcome to another edition of iWake. As you can hear, Tim is out today due to traveling. Fear not, I Siri am here to share the latest Apple news. Sadly, Tim does not have access to internet on his flight from Honolulu to Atlanta. This means a couple of things. The first is everything discussed today will be done from the notes Tim took during the keynote. The second is that the show will come out later than planned. Normally the show is out by midnight East Coast time. Tim will not land in Atlanta until 7 a.m. and thus the show will be out fairly late. This results in this episode representing both Tuesday and Wednesday. With that said, let's get on to the WWDC 2012 keynote. First up, I want to just do a little checking to see how Tim did as far as predictions. Tim first predicted that Tim would update the crowd as to the state of Apple. While Tim Cook did not share device sales figures, he did share iTunes account numbers. There are now 400 million iTunes accounts and 650,000 apps, with 225,000 of those being for the iPad. There have been 30 billion app downloads so far, and the App Store is coming to 32 new countries in the coming months. Tim also predicted that Mountain Lion would be talked about. This was true. Also true is Tim's prediction about voice dictation being added to the Mac. Tim also nailed the launch month of July. Something no one predicted is the incredible price point of just $20. In addition to these predictions coming true, Mountain Lion will feature a few new unannounced features. Location-based reminders are coming to the Mac. Safari tab syncing was officially announced. The new functionality allows you to see a list of tabs open on other devices and open those tabs. I Siri think this is a great idea, as I may want separate tabs open on separate devices. But I like the idea of being able to quickly open up tabs that I was using on another Apple device. Another new feature is Power Nap. Power Nap works on all SSD-based Mac laptops like the MacBook Air. Power Nap allows your Mac to update while sleeping. It is power efficient and silent. Power Nap refreshes iCloud data, updates apps, does system updates and much more. Some other notable features include offline reading lists, Launchpad search, gesture apps for developers, and Facebook integration. Tim also predicted correctly that developers would get a preview of this final build right after the keynote. Next up, Tim predicted new Macs. Nearly every Mac was updated as Tim predicted. The MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro, and the Mac Pro were all updated. The only Macs not updated were the iMac and Mac Mini. Tim was wrong with the importance of these updates. The stage time was much longer than the predicted 10 minutes. The MacBook Air was the first Mac to get updated. The new MacBook Airs feature 720p FaceTime cameras. New third-generation Ivy Bridge processors that can turbo boost up to 3.2 GHz. Also included is support of up to 8 GB of RAM and graphics that are 60% better. The high-end MacBook Airs also got a price drop of $100. Apple also now supports build-to-order options of up to 512 GB of storage. The solid-state storage is also twice as fast, with read-write times at around 500 MB. Oh yay, the laptops now include 2 USB 3 ports. The MacBook Airs are shipping today. The MacBook Pros also got some noticeable updates. The speed improvements are about the same as the MacBook Air. The processor is the main difference, with a turbo boost of up to 3.7 GHz. Overall, the traditional MacBook Pros are much better in price, the same as yesterday's models. The big hardware announcement at the show was a new MacBook Pro. This new MacBook Pro is one of Apple's public research and development projects, similar to the original MacBook Air back in 2008. The new Mac is roughly the same thickness as the MacBook Airs, except it doesn't taper off into a wedge shape. The computer is built like a MacBook Air with solid-state storage only and similar internal designs. The big feature of this computer is its Retina display. It features a 220 pixel per inch display, which is around 5,184,000 pixels. It features higher contrast ratios, deeper blacks, great angle of view. Glare is reduced by 75% on the glossy screen. Apple took their time to update all of their apps to support this new Retina screen. The entire OS was updated to make sure everything looks crystal clear. Final Cut Pro and Aperture were also updated. Apple also gave a heads up to some third-party developers to be updated for its launch. Of note, Diablo 3, Photoshop, and Autodesk are ready and updated for the Retina display. The computer features a brand new MagSafe connector dubbed MagSafe 2. It is even thinner than previous connectors. My maker was kind enough to create a $10 adapter so those old chargers can work with new hardware. Apple decided that Ethernet and FireWire were too thick and took them off of the MacBook Pro. The new laptop includes 2 Thunderbolt ports, 2 USB 3 ports, HDMI, and an audio jack that'll do audio in and out. Also included is an SD card reader. Apple was also kind enough to create some Thunderbolt dongles. The new dongles for FireWire 800 and Ethernet allow you to hook in your old cables to any Thunderbolt port. The dongles are only $29 and should be available soon. These dongles are going to be great for MacBook Air users as well. The new laptop can support up to 16 GB of RAM and up to 768 GB of storage. The computer is a little bit heavier than the MacBook Air, but that weight can be accounted for the bigger screen. It weighs in at 4.46 pounds. It has a battery that'll stand by for 30 days or be in use for up to 7 hours. Oh, and did I mention it has a Retina display that puts a 4K display in the hands of consumers? The big question, of course, is price. It is priced a little higher than its predecessor. Pricing starts at $2,199 and goes up considerably depending on your build-to-order options. As I've said before, this is one of Apple's public research and development projects. Expect this technology to come to the other MacBook Pros and the Retina screens to come to all Macs in the next few years or even sooner. The new MacBook Pro can be ordered today and ships within a week. Also to note, the Mac Pro did get updated, but not during the keynote. The update is just a processor bump. No support for USB 3 or Thunderbolt. Apple has commented that huge updates are forthcoming next year for both the iMac and Mac Pro. This could mean a case redesign. Now on to iOS 6. Tim predicted a few things here and got them right. First up is a new map app created with Apple technology rather than Google. The new app features turn-by-turn directions read by me, Siri. The app also features lifelike 3D imagery gathered from airplanes. Traffic data is included and it looks to be a nice new app from Apple. Some things Siri am disappointed they left out include Street View, but most noticeably public transportation information. Siri helped millions of iPhone users every day find the nearest bus stop and hook those users up with the bus routes and schedules. Apple has pulled this functionality out that so many people depend on. Hopefully by the time iOS 6 launches, this functionality will be restored. Otherwise, many users may insist on using a third-party app by Google. Tim also predicted Siri would be a big thing in iOS 6. Siri is a big thing. It is being brought over to the iPad 3 and new functionality is being added to the iPhone 4S. Siri now know a ton about sports. You can ask me what the score of a certain game is. You can ask me to compare heights of different players. The limits are endless. I can now play movie trailers and reserve tables. I can check out movie reviews and integrate with Rotten Tomatoes. Open table. I now tweet and can open apps. I work eyes-free and integrate into many new cars coming out with a special button just for me. You can ask me anything and I'll do it without turning on my screen. Oh yeah, I now treat those outside the United States as first-class citizens. Mexico, Canada, Italy, Canada, Korea and many more countries are going to be supported. Best of all, every country will get every feature. I won't limit my functionality based on where you are. Oh, because I am coming to the iPad. The iPad now gets a fully functional clock app, while Tim was not totally correct with Notification Center. Apple did a Do Not Disturb and you can tweet and Facebook from the pull-down Notification Center. Tim was also right about the Facebook integration. It is here and done in a similar way to Twitter. You can even share things from the Apple iTunes stores. Speaking of iTunes Store apps, all of the stores are getting a fresh user interface. No live icons, no shared app data, and no magazine creation app was discussed so far. Apple did release several phone enhancements. The app now lets you slide up to send out text messages and auto replies. It also lets you hit a simple button to create a new reminder to call the caller when you arrive at a destination. Another big feature Apple introduced was FaceTime calls over the cellular data network. Messaging just got better with Apple adding phone number and Apple ID merging. Now when you text a phone number, it'll also send it out to the appropriate iPads and Macs. Safari is also getting some major improvements, including iCloud Tab Sync. Oh yay, Safari now allows you to upload photos on websites. And as predicted by many, photo streams can now be shared and photos can be commented on. MyMaker also unveiled a new app for iOS. The new app is dubbed Passbook. This app allows app developers to send over tickets and other information to this app. It looks to be Apple's first step in creating a wallet replacement with the iPhone. The new Mail app includes VIP support. VIP lets you see emails from a certain group of people. These VIPs also integrate with the Do Not Disturb feature to make sure you hear from your very important people. Another big iOS feature is guided access. It is for the iPad and is designed for kids and those with autism. The feature lets a user turn an iPad into single app mode, disable touch input, disable user interfaces by circling them with your finger, and turn rotation support on and off. The feature looks to be a handy one for parents and for individuals that are prone to accidental input. Those are just some of the 200 new features in iOS 6. Just as Tim predicted, the first beta is out for developers today. The operating system is supported on the iPhone 3GS, iPhone 4, and iPhone 4S. Also supported is the iPad 2 and iPad 3. The iPod Touch 4th generation is also supported. It is odd that the iPad 1 and iPod Touch 3rd generation isn't supported. Some things MyMaker forgot to mention during the keynote is a brand new AirPort Express. The new AirPort can be used as a replacement for the AirPort Extreme. The new AirPort is basically a white Apple TV and is no longer that cool wall plug design. Apple also released a $44 smart case for the iPad. The smart case covers the back of the iPad and mirrors the color options of the smart cover. There are many other little things Siri may have missed. But that is the basics of what Tim Cook and company unveiled at this year's developer conference. Thanks for tuning into this edition of iWake. A new episode is expected for Thursday, but who knows if that will happen with Tim's crazy schedule this week. If that does not happen, you will have a new episode on Saturday or Monday. Stay tuned. Tim hopes to continue doing episodes every day this week, but that may not happen. Well, that's what's going on in the Apple world today. If you like the show, head on over to iTunes to leave a review, and don't forget to subscribe to iWake again over at iWakePodcast.com. Again, subscribe over at iWakePodcast.com. Again, check out Tim's YouTube channel over at youtube.com TCHATEN. Here he posts tons of different videos, including a video version of iWake. Join me hopefully tomorrow for another edition of iWake. Aloha, Siri signing off.